Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Matthew, the 27th chapter. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Yahweh Shai to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, okay, and what is that to us? See thou to that. That's your problem. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed, and went and hanged himself. And the chief priest, so that grief and that guilt ate him alive, man. And the chief priest took the pieces of silver and said, it is not lawful for to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood. Right, that's the amount they paid for the blood, right, for somebody's life. Judas literally sold out Yahweh Shai. And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field and to bury strangers. So they went and bought a field of land and used it as a burying place for foreigners. Wherefore, that field was called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, Jeremiah, and they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, Yahweh Shai, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field as the Lord appointed me. So they used that money to buy that potter's field. And Yahweh Shai stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, art thou the king of the Jews? And Yahweh Shai said unto him, thou sayest. And when he was accused of the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. Then Pilate said unto him, hearest thou not how many things they witness against thee? And he answered him to never a word, so he didn't even say anything. Insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Now at that feast, the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner whom they would. So usually that was what he would do. He would release a prisoner unto them. And they had then a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said unto them, whom will ye that I release unto you? Barabbas, or Yahweh Shai, which is called the Anointed? For he knew that for envy they had delivered him. That is, Yahweh Shai, they ended because the chief priests and scribes envied him, they brought him here because they wanted to put him to death. When he was set down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, have thou nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. So she's like, do you better leave that man alone. The things that I saw in this dream last night, he is not good news, man. Leave him alone. But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Yahweh Shai. The governor answered and said unto them, whether of the twain will ye that I release unto you? They said, Barabbas. Pilate saith unto them, what shall I do then with Yahweh Shai, which is called the Anointed? They all say unto him, let him be crucified. And the governor said, why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us and our children. Oh my gosh. I mean, damn. You slew an innocent man and said, let his blood. So they just accepted the guilt upon them and their children. Then released he Barabbas unto them. And when he had scourged Yahweh Shai, he delivered him to be crucified. So when they whipped him and they beat him, then they sent him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Yahweh Shai into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers. And they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe, because they were going to mock him, right? Since he was called the king of the Jews. So they put on him like a scarlet robe, which is to be like an expensive robe. And they plaited a crown of thorns and put it upon his head to represent a crown, and a reed in his right hand to represent a scepter. And they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they spit on him and took the reed and smote him on the head. Imagine that. A crown of thorns pressed into your head, and then they hitting it with a reed. And after they had mocked him, they took the robe from off him and put his own raiment on him and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear the cross. So he carried Yahushua's cross on which they would crucify Yahushua. And when they were come onto a place called Golgotha, which is, I believe it means skull. That is to say, a place of a skull. They gave him vinegar to drink, mingled with gall, and when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And they crucified him, and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there, and set up over his head his accusation written, This is Yahushua, the King of the Jews. Then were there two thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand and another on the left. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, Thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise also the chief priests mocking him, with the scribes and elders, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him now. What happened to all those miracles, thou Son of Man? If you will have him, for he said, I am the Son of God, right? You're the Son of God, right? So go ahead. Why isn't God delivering you? The thieves also, which were crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth, meaning they also, as it says here in NLT, they ridiculed him the same way, which it doesn't mention here in the book of Matthew, but in the book of Luke, it goes into a bit more detail how, it's mainly, I think the one of his sides, whether it was right or his left, that was ridiculing him more so, and the other one was not so much. Now from the 6th hour, which is about 12 noon, there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour, which is about 3 p.m. And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, or in the Hebrew, Alayah, Alayah, which means my God, my God. That is also the Hebrew name of Elijah. Lama sabachthani, that is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Some of them that stood there when they heard that said, This man calleth for Elias. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. And the rest said, Let be. Let us see whether Elias will come to save him. No, leave him. Let's see. He's calling Elijah. Let's see if Elijah's going to come and save him. Yahushua, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. And the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose. That's people who had died, basically came back to life, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. So after Yahushua had died and risen, upon his resurrection, you had people who had died. Imagine that your husband or auntie or somebody that had died comes out of the grave and goes into the city. Now, when the centurion and they that were with him watching Yahushua, keeping guard, saw the earthquake and those things which were done, they feared greatly, saying, Truly, this was the Son of God. And many women were there beholding afar off, which followed Yahushua from Galilee, ministering unto him, among which was Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of James and Joses, which is Yahushua's mother, and the mother of Zebedee's children. When the even was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who also himself was Yahushai's disciple. So he was like a secret disciple. He believed in Yahushai's words. He went to Pilate and begged the body of Yahushai. Then Pilate commanded the body to be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock, and he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. So he buried Yahushai, had him close the tomb and everything. And there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. So they watched, right, where he was buried and everything. Now the next day that followed the day of the preparation, being the Sabbath, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that deceiver said while he was yet alive, After 3 days I will rise again. Command therefore that the sepulchre be made sure, so let it be guarded until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, He is risen from the dead. So the last error shall be worse than the first. So make sure there's guards so nobody comes and actually steals the body. And then because then they'll go and tell people, look, he actually rose, and then it's going to be too much. It's going to be at that point too much chaos. It's going to be far worse than the things he said when he was alive. Pilate said unto them, Ye have a watch, go your way, make it as sure as ye can. So take some soldiers and go and set them up and guard it as best as you can. So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a watch. And that brings us to the end of the book of Matthew, the 27th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.